know, you go through things, and whenever it comes to you, you feel like it's somebody that you need to share whatever it was that you're thinking. I don't know who this is for today. I feel like it should be for everybody, but I'm feeling like there's some people in here who definitely need to hear what I'm about to tell you. Today's Life Talk comes out of James 3, verses 2 and 3. James 3, verses 2 and 3. I'm reading out of the NIV. And it reads, "We all stumble in many ways. Anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their whole body in check. When we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal." I chose the NIV version because of verse 2, because it says it kind of plainly. We all stumble a lot. We all make mistakes. Anyone who's never at fault would say that they're perfect and able to keep their whole body in check. The ESV and almost every other version, when it reads, it says, "For we all stumble in many ways, and if anyone does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man, also able to bridle his whole body." That's why verse 3 says when we put bits into the mouths of horses, because when you bridle a horse, that's when they put the little thing in the middle of the mouth so you can guide which way the horse goes. So to think about the idea of bridling your whole body means that you're able to take control of everything it is that you say, think, and do, which many of us, because we're human, we falter in. A lot of times when we're sitting there and we're looking at things, we know that we all make mistakes, right? Everyone knows that none of us are perfect, but there is a difference between a mistake and a choice. Just the other day, I was putting away the dishes while I was making breakfast. So it was dishes in the dishwasher. I'm trying to make breakfast. That morning, Nolan came and woke me up, and I was like, I said, "Nolan, you want to help me make breakfast?" And he just smiled at me like, "No." I said, "Well, after I make breakfast, I'm going to cut the grass. You want to help me cut the grass?" He looked up in the air, so that was another no. I said, "Well, I'm going to make breakfast." I said, "What you can do is help me," which this is his chore, "by putting away the dishes." He said, "Okay," and he ran downstairs. I came downstairs about 20 minutes later. The dishes were still in the dishwasher, so I started making breakfast because I couldn't wait anymore, and I picked the dishes out of the dishwasher. You show that picture of the sink thing? This is kind of what our sink looks like. So I can pull dishes out the dishwasher. They're not always dry, right? So I pulled these two large pans out, and I put them in the dishwasher, and I set them in the middle of the dishwasher. I mean, not the dishwasher, but in the sink. And I leaned them against this while I started doing everything else, thinking they'll dry while I'm cooking, right? Mistake. Somehow or another, they leaned forward, they hit this, and then pushed that whole point to the back of the counter. So the entire counter was wet, and I mean pouring wet. And I'm over here, I got eggs over here, bacon over here. I'm literally looking at it going, wow, it's really getting wet. And I couldn't figure out what to make for the next step. But I went and got it. Of course, I cleaned it up and everything else. I'm telling the story now. She didn't know anything about it. So, hey, guys, I got away with it, kind of, sort of. But it was a mistake. It wasn't anything I did on purpose, but I made a mistake. And I think that we need to understand that when you make a mistake, it's okay to make a mistake, right? But what I had to do when I talk with my students, I work with alternative education. The first thing that I explain to them is that when I look at them, I don't look up their records. I don't look up what it is they did to get here, because I have a firm belief that you're not a result of your actions, but more so the sum of your choices. See, I talked to them in the beginning. I talked to them about the idea of cursing and how I know that, a lot of what goes on in their world, they curse a whole lot, but it's not something that I'm going to tolerate or condone. But I understand if you make a mistake and it slips. But when you continue to do it, then it's no longer a mistake, it's a choice. Once you make that choice, now we're at a different precipice, because now you've gone from making a mistake to being disrespectful. So I explained that theory the other night because I got asked to go and speak with a church youth group, and I told them about a lot of my past mistakes and the blessings that God gave me to continue on in life, and the things that were going on, and how without God, I wouldn't really be here, because there's so many different things that I did that I probably should not be here. But in Romans it says, Romans 3:23, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." once we accept that we do not always do things perfectly, then we'll be okay. But we have to understand what it is that our purpose is in doing the things that we do. Because we sit here a lot of times, again, I say it's not your actions, but your choices. So as long as your choices are bridled in the right way, you can control some of your actions. In Psalms 37, 23, and 24, it says, the Lord makes firm steps of the one who delights in him. That's very important, because if you delight in the Lord, that means that what you are doing is for God. So if you're doing things for God, then the Lord takes firm steps in what it is you're doing. Even if you're not perfect, you may stumble, but if you're doing it for God, although you stumble, you will not fall. For the Lord upholds you with his hand. You get more assurance in Isaiah 41, 9 and 10. It says, I took you from the ends of the earth. From its farthest corners I called you. I said, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you. So do not fear, I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. Again, when you are doing what God is asking you to do and you are serving God, God will hold you up. Which I think is very, very important for a lot of us, because fear sometimes holds us back from the decisions that we're supposed to be making. Fear stands in your way of what it is that you want to do. Again, what you intend to do, if it's for God, you should be fine. But a lot of times we get out there and we're so worried about what the world will think of us. We're so worried about what others will perceive us to do. See, I feel that when we're doing the right thing, if you live on the premise of your intentions being correct, I say this all the time at work. I work on the premise of asking for forgiveness and not permission. I don't ask for permission to do the right thing. I don't. I don't ask for permission to make sure that I'm doing the right thing for the people that I work for. But if it turns out wrong, I will ask for forgiveness, knowing that what I was trying to do was the right thing and it was a mistake, but not an intentional choice. Does that make sense? So, along with that affirmation, I tell you everything whenever you're talking to God, it's about affirmation. I went to my uncle and aunt's 65th wedding anniversary yesterday. 65 years. They scraping 90 right now. They've been married for 65 years. And there was a resonating tone in a lot of things that they said throughout all the ups and downs. There were mistakes in those 65 years, but there weren't choices that caused anything to mess up. Does everybody get what I'm saying? So if you can sit there and you can look and you see people that can make it for 65 years, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to do things that are a little scary. You're trying out for a team, you're trying to get a new job, you need to go ahead and put your best foot forward, because God will uphold you with his righteous hand. I heard this the other day. It said, imagine not being picked, but still being chosen. Think about that. You were not picked because the world is picking people, but you were chosen by God. Believers are God's chosen people, and if you believe in him and work in his ways, you will be successful. Quell your doubts, erase your anxiety, believe in you, and bet on yourself, because he will uphold you with his righteous hand. And that's the Life Talk for today. Sweet Tea, if you can come